Hi, everybody. I'm Aaron Mesh, news editor at Willamette Week. I am here today with Xander Almeida. Xander is a rare commodity in Portland, Oregon, in that he is a Republican. And I think an interesting person also because for the last several weeks, he's been attending Black Lives Matter protests as a Republican in support of the Black Lives Matter protests. And that's something in this political climate that seemed worth talking about. Xander, how long have you been a Republican?
I joined the Republican Party while volunteering at Pride Festival at the Multnomah County Democrat booth in 2008.
What made you decide to switch parties?
Um, I moved to Oregon in 2004 as a pretty far left liberal, and I thought Portland would be a kind of a beautiful liberal mecca. And then after 4 years of living here and just kind of seeing the taxes going up and prices of public transportation going up, but services kept getting cut and cut and cut. I just was kind of over it and I changed parties mostly for fiscal conservative reasons.
So, what do you make of the direction the party's gone in the past 4 years?
I, from the very start, have been what I guess the media calls an anti-Trumper. I mean, being a Mexican American, his, going down his little golden escalator and calling Mexicans rapists and murderers was just a complete, absolute insult. Can I cuss on here? I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyways,
you can cuss all you want. This is
okay.
we're not.
It was a fucking insult to me and millions of other Mexican Americans, especially because my grandfather, who was first generation Mexican American, was a paratrooper in World War II with the 101st Airborne Division, and who fought valiantly, and it's a highly decorated veteran for this country. And to hear him just besmirch people who cross the border was just fucking insulting. So it's been really hard to keep my party affiliation the last 4 years.
What made you decide to join the Black Lives Matter protests?
I mean, again, being of an ethnic minority in this country and having some family history too of cops treating my family pretty poorly over the years just because of the color of our skin. Seeing obviously the video of Floyd and hearing the heartbreaking audio of Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, on the phone, just crying over her body, and then just the brutalization of the cops and their response to the protests. It just, at some point you have to take a stand. You have to take a stand, and you have to go and make your voice heard. Otherwise, you are culpable, in my opinion.
So, you've been out to protest, you told me, 6 or 7 times in the past 2 months.
Yeah.
What you've seen out there, does it make you more or less sympathetic toward the protesters?
I haven't been out in the last couple of weeks just because I'm not down with burning down or trying to burn down, police precincts or I'm not, that's not my type of protest. But again, I wanted to go down there in solidarity. I started to train how to be a street medic too, just to make sure I could keep people safe out there. Cause I don't have to 100% agree with somebody in order to think that they're worthy of being treated compassionately and with, proper, medical support and whatnot. So I was mostly training to do that, to go and help people on the streets there. But it was mostly when the feds came in and really started brutalizing people that I, kind of took off the medic training cap and went on to the, carrying my flag down there to go and confront the feds down there.
Do you see any hope for reconciliation in this country at this point? It doesn't feel like a very fertile atmosphere for uniting under the flag.
I will tell you that After a couple nights of bringing my flag down there, I started to see more and more American flags on behalf of the protesters. Um, so it seemed like, at least in that regard, it was like a positive, like people just kind of need some kind of affirmation that it's okay to go um, and use the flag as a symbol of good again in this country. And I understand that, again, the Proud Boy Patriot Prayer fuckers have been co-opting it, and the president, when he goes and like gives like the awkward bear hug to the flag, is kind of a disgusting like um, uh, thing. But again, my Mexican American grandfather, fought under the flag against fascists and killed Nazis under it, and was very proud to be an American. And so I do think that, as my friend John Dutch and I were like talking to a lot of the protesters down there about why we were bringing the American flag, um, as trying to be a more like, unifying symbol for all Americans. We had a couple black bloc kids that like yelled at us and screamed at us and called us fascists, which, like, hey, we're here for BLM. I don't know why you're yelling at us. But most people that were like either questioning why, or um, were like confused by it, once we told them why we were doing it, they were actually all about it. I would say about an 80% positive response rate. So I think there is hope for unifying if you're willing to have a conversation with somebody. And most of the protesters down there were willing to have an actual conversation. And once we actually told them why we were doing this, they were like much more like in favor of it.
The atmosphere at protests in the last couple of weeks has grown increasingly hostile. So, just in this past weekend, there's been viral videos of police charging into a line of shields and
Yeah,
beating
I saw that.
protesters, which looks like something out of like a Michael Bay movie. Uh, there were two gunshots fired and a pipe bomb on Saturday in downtown, apparently by uh, Patriot Prayer affiliated figures. And then late last night, there was another viral video of what appears to be a Black Lives Matter protester kicking a man in the head until he's unconscious. What do you make of the atmosphere down there, and do you think it's safe to even venture into these crowds anymore?
Uh, I mean, for the most part, I think that those types of actions on both sides are just completely unproductive. Um, and it, I mean, almost all the violence that I saw when I was down at the protests were on behalf of the feds and the cops, against the protesters. And the fact that it's starting to take um, partisan sides of civilian on civilian, is it's disturbing to me. It's very upsetting, and I think that uh, a lot of the protesters have kind of like gone beyond their original um, kind of message and mandate, and um, and I get why they're still down there. I still want to be down there too sometimes, because the city has not done police reform, the state has not done police reform, and that's what they're asking for, is police and justice reform. And it's, again, as a Republican, to see that like there's been one party rule in the state for like 30 years, and they've never done anything about it really, and all of a sudden it's a big crisis now to them, because they're being forced because of these protests. The protests are working, um, because they're finally having to address it.